Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is in Thunder Bay today. NetNewsLedger caught up to him at Confederation College.
Hi, I'm Jagmeet Singh.
Welcome to Thunder Bay, first of all.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
Is this your first trip?
No, I've been to Thunder Bay a number of times now.
So that means you probably checked out, earlier the ping pong table here at the college.
Yes.
Skateboard park yet?
I have not checked that out. I've been to Kakabeka Falls, both in the winter and in the summer. So I've seen it frozen as well as when it's moving. I've been to Lakehead University a couple times, and I've been to the farmers market, really cool farmers market by the cinema.
Yeah.
And I picked up a cool shirt made from a local designer, made in Canada, which showed the sleeping giant and the hotel code for Thunder Bay. So
Cool.
It's kind of cool.
As you go through Thunder Bay and as you go across northwestern Ontario, what message do you want to share with our readers and viewers about you as leader of the NDP and where you'd like to take the party?
I want folks to know that I'm on their side, that New Democrats will always be on your side, and for us, people are at the heart of everything we do. And for the North, our messages, my message is I want folks to know that I know that the North is felt often neglected and ignored, and I know what that's like to be ignored and to be neglected, and I want to make sure that people in the North know that our plan is to make sure that everyone's taken care of and that we've got services in place that lift everyone up, and that's specifically going to help out people in the North, particularly our plan around healthcare and our plan for housing. These are things that are going to help out people that are feeling like they're not being paid attention to.
Last Friday, I was in Lansdowne House, where they've had a boil water order in place for 25 years. I was there 3 years ago when the government promised to clean the water up. We've got a water crisis going on in Attawapiskat. What should be done?
It's just got to be a priority. I mean, we've seen the Liberal government move quickly when something matters. If they wanted to buy a pipeline, they immediately didn't ask anybody for any advice. They didn't ask anyone if they agreed. They just went ahead and bought a pipeline for $4.5 billion. They can make decisions so quickly to buy a pipeline. I'm confident government has the ability to clean water, to make sure that everyone in our country, particularly Indigenous people, have access to clean drinking water. There is no excuse for this not happening, and we can absolutely make it happen if we have the courage. It's clear that neither the Liberals nor the Conservatives have had the courage to do this. The Democrats, with me as leader, we have the courage to make sure this is done.
Now, the concept of in Attawapiskat, seeing the young people and some of the youth from Attawapiskat, I've been back and forth with for over 10 years. Nothing's changed. Now, what does that say about the Canada that we keep thinking we're living in versus the Canada we are?
Well, there is definitely a dissonance between there's a different dissonance between what leaders like Mr. Trudeau have said. He said some good things. He said some really promising remarks, and a lot of people, I think, in fairness, were hopeful. But there has been a disconnect between what he's promised or what he said and what's been done. And I think for too long that's been the case in Canada, where we've had leaders from Liberal and Conservative parties say a lot of nice things but not deliver on those things. And in the case of Conservatives, they've actually said really horrible things and then delivered on those horrible things. What we need now is New Democrats to be in a position where they can implement the changes that we know people need. And that's why I'm hoping that people will support as many of our MPs as possible and elect as many New Democrats as possible to have a strong voice for people in Parliament that's going to push to get the things done that we know can get done and need to be done.
Hitting a Thunder Bay issue, Bombardier. There's 500 families in your riding that are getting layoff notices in November, just after the election, and more to come. What can we do about Bombardier? What could be done? What should government be doing?
So Bombardier, right now, the situation where workers are going to lose their jobs, where there's workers that are going to be laid off, and families are going to be devastated by this. It's heartbreaking, and all of this is a direct result of the federal government, Mr. Trudeau's negligence. The fact that he has neglected these people and his inaction has resulted in this situation. One concrete thing that we could have done differently, and that Mr. Trudeau didn't do, and that we would do as New Democrats, is that right now we've got a Crown Corporation, Via Rail, owned completely publicly by us, by Canadians. They needed some trains. And the trains, $1 billion contract, was awarded to Siemens, a German company, where everywhere in the world has provisions to encourage infrastructure, particularly publicly owned infrastructure, to be built by the country itself. We are one of the few that doesn't do that. That is a failure. That is a purposeful decision in policy that resulted in the outcome where we don't have a climate that supports jobs in Canada. So what I would do, and what I've announced today, is we should build a procurement plan that favors and requires Canadian content, which would create a policy environment that would encourage jobs being created in Canada. It would encourage Canadian manufacturing. That's a concrete thing that we can do at the federal level to require that. And anytime we invest federal dollars, there should be a requirement that the procurement has a Canadian content requirement. That is something we can do.
The Minister of Labour, Patty Hajdu, was in Thunder Bay. It's her seat in Thunder Bay Superior North. I asked her about that, and she basically made the comment that Bombardier should be doing more because they can earn millions. What would you say back to her, either one?
We say, how can a Canadian company compete in a global context when there aren't provisions in Canada that encourage Canadian content, when every other jurisdiction that has a major manufacturing sector has a made in their own country requirement for procurement. America has pushed forward with a made in America requirement. European countries have done it. If we don't do that, then there is no incentive for a company to build and manufacture in Canada, and they can just as well build their products in other jurisdictions and ship them here. That is going to be the future if we don't make requirements for content to be built in Canada. We will lose more manufacturing.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
All right.